everybody, and welcome to another Tune of the Month. Happy April! It's spring, at least depending on where you are. It's spring in Boston in any case. This month to celebrate, I have for you a jig. I realize we've done fewer jigs than usual so far this year. We had the slip jig back a couple months ago, which was awesome. But I believe it's time for some 6/8. Yes, alright. So, the jig I have for you is written by the great Pierre Schryer. He's one of the famous fiddling triplet Schryer brothers from Canada. And the story goes that one morning he just woke up with this tune in his head. And although I think of Pierre as being, you know, very down East Canadian style, he decided that this tune in particular sounded really Cape Breton-ish, so he named it Cape Breton Dream. Here it is. And that's the tune. If you're just listening, thanks for stopping by, and of course we'll see you next month. And if you're ready to play, you know the drill, you're ready to play. Okay, so this tune is in A major, 3 sharps. And right away, if you were listening with your Tune of the Month ears, I imagine what struck you is similar to what struck me when I first heard this tune, which is just how well it uses the range of the fiddle. It's just up and down in a really beautiful way. And the best way to move through that range is lots of arpeggios. So if you have your arpeggio brain ready to go, this is going to be very easy to learn indeed. Alright, I'll slow it down, take the ornaments out as per our tradition. Here's the whole A section. So just at that listening, you might notice that it's a classic part 1, part 2, part 1 ending structure. If you're new to Tune of the Month and that sounds weird, just go back to any Tune of the Month videos. We've been talking about it forever. It's how the sections are structured and put together, parts that come back. And you probably also noticed that the part 2 and the ending are almost identical. In fact, how you make the ending is just shave a couple notes off the end of part 2. So, kind of a freebie as far as notes go. To me, though, what makes this jig really special is the bowing. And how you can bow it. It's that nice mix of the swingy big little separate bows that we've also talked about in past jig videos. And what I call the glide slur, which instead of playing a group of 3 notes separately, big, little, I slur them, slide or glide, and it gives it this very elastic kind of feel that's really beautiful to contrast with the swingier separate bows. So let's break this down and get those guys in. This first part, in case you didn't already figure it out, is there's one pickup, and I'm slurring it in to get that scoop feel at the beginning. And then it's just a great big A major arpeggio. you catch that? I'll do it again. Slur in the pickup. Big, little. So glide slur. 1, 2, 3. And that ends the phrase right there. Do you feel it? I'll do it one more time. Part 1. Okay, that's part 1. Now I have one pickup here. You see I'm ready to go up bow. For part 2, glide. So, did you catch in there? There's kind of a slur already built in. Because that's a mixed rhythm. We want to slur that so we don't get backwards bow. And slur. So getting down there, if it sounds real noodly, the thing to notice is that it's mostly an A major arpeggio. It's just got a couple little decorative notes in there. And you want to make sure you're using your glue finger skills that we've talked about in past tunes of the month. Always good with arpeggios. Sorry. I'm going to leave my second finger down here, and I'm coming right back to it. And that's getting ready to land back in part 1. Let's do part 2 again. It has one pickup, up bow, slur. Glue your second finger. Last time, part 2, slur. And you might have recognized is just the pickups to part 1 again. Let's do it. A major, glide. And here comes part 2 again, but this time it's the ending. Slur, glue. And just end it right there. Wow, that's so easy when part 2s do that. I do love it. It's like a free ending. All right, so let's put the whole section together. By the way, if you need to hear any of those small parts over again, all you got to do is rewind the video as many times as you need. Ain't technology great? Here we go, Cape Breton Dream. I'm going to slur in the first pickup. Part 1. Before repeating it, did you notice I don't put many left-hand ornaments into this, except on the glide slur is a great opportunity to throw a little flap on the beginning of that. If you don't know what a flap is, don't worry, just go back to past tunes of the month. We talk all about it, or you can just grab it by ear right now. It's a little flick of my second finger of the note above the start of that glide slur. Here's the repeat. Part 1. And that's the whole A section. Any parts you need any mileage more on, just rewind. But for right now, I'm going on to the B section. Now this is a very, very clever B section to me, writing-wise. Pierre's just a genius because it sounds like it does a whole bunch of different stuff. But as you're about to see, doesn't quite. I'll slow it down and take the ornaments out. wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah, you probably heard, wait a minute, that's the A section embedded in the middle, and you're absolutely right. The first time through this B section is what we call a half B construction, where rather than going part 1, part 2, part 1, ending for the B section, it goes part 1, part 2, and then it just does the second half of the A section again. The B section literally doesn't have a second half to call its own. Poor half B. All right, so let's do the new part. Starts with these arpeggios. They sound super fancy, right? Well, of course, you know arpeggios always sound super fancy when they go quickly and easily, but they're pretty simple. So for my pickups, I'm just going to take a little run up to that high A. That's my part 1. It's just an A major arpeggio, and then a B minor arpeggio. Again, with arpeggios, that glue finger is going to help you out for that B minor. I've put my first finger on both strings at once, so I don't have to do crazy things like this, picking it up and putting it down. Blah, too much work. Yeah, if you have it on both strings, it'll be ready to go. Alright, so let's do just that part 1. We won't need very many reps because it's easy. Slur that pickup up to the A major, B minor. One more just for funsies. Now comes the action. This is the little, it's part 2, but its job is to connect back to the A section. Now that might sound super spicy to you. There's really only one note that's making it sound spicy, and it's right here on the glide slur that I start with. So I have that little, I guess if you wrote it out, you'd call it a B sharp. And we hear the word B sharp and we go, difficult. And of course it's not. All I'm going to do is just take my first finger and move it up to be a half step with my regular second finger. It's a little chromatic gesture, moving by half step. And then I'm right back to a regular old A major arpeggio that we've already played way too many of in this tune. Here I go. Now a little ending. And did you notice that's another great opportunity to glue your second finger? I glue it right here. And then the notes just take care of themselves. All I have to do is cross my bow. Alright, so this little part 2 turnaround, we have a chromatic, spicy glide slur, A major. Glue your second finger. So you see, not really a big deal, even though it sounds extra cool. Let's try it again. Now guess what? Do the second half of the A section. You already know it. Part 1. Glide slur. And that's the first time through the B section. That's it. That's all you gotta do. Let's put it together. We'll just play it once. Part 1 has the arpeggios. A major. B minor. Alright, here's the spicy. A major. Glue. Back to A. That's the first time through the B section. Now notice I'm not repeating that right now because in real life it's not going to repeat. If you want to practice it a couple more times, just rewind, but only play one in a row. Because what's going to happen is the second time through, we're not going to do a half B construction. We're going to do a grand ending, which we've also done in previous tunes of the month. And this is where the B section goes part 1, part 2, and then rather going back to part 1 and ending, it does a whole big ending that's its own thing. Alright, so let's start with the first part of the B section that we already know, those little arpeggios. A major, B minor, spicy, glue finger. Now here comes grand ending. ending. It's my favorite part of the tune. It's so cool. And you probably heard it and go, wow, that's really spicy. Now remember, when we use the word spicy, what we're usually hearing is something that's chromatic, moving just by half steps. And indeed, that's how this starts. Alright, so all I have to do for that is I scooch my first finger back. High one, scoot it back to half position, low one. That's the chromatic scale, all half steps. If you do it descending, it sounds like a Looney Tunes character falling off a cliff. Now just an A7 arpeggio. Right, if we played all the way from the bottom. That's the A dominant seventh. That's an A major arpeggio with this extra money note that makes everything sound really awesome. Alright, so let's put a chromatic and the top of that A7 together. Next, spicy is just like the one we had before, with that high first finger. And that's a little D major arpeggio. Okay? So, spicy chromatic going down to A7. Spicy glide slur to D major. Now we're through most of the action. All we need to do is finish with an E major arpeggio. Down the scale to A, which is where we're trying to get anyhow. Do that last bit. E major arpeggio. Down the scale. One more of that little tag. And if you want, you can double your fourth finger and your open string on that last note. A nice unison gives it some punch. Alright, let's put the whole grand ending together from the chromatic scale. Spicy. A7. Spicy glide slur. E major. Down the scale to N. Do it again. As you're getting more comfortable with this, that I put another little ornament on the beginning of that glide slur. I tend to think that every time I do a glide slur, it's a good opportunity to put a flap in your left hand on the beginning of it. So you'll hear me doing that sometimes, and that's basically the only kind of left hand ornament I do in this tune. Alright, you ready to put the whole B section together? Now, you got to think a little bit to make sure you're in the right place here. We do the half B construction first, the B section arpeggios, and then back to the second half of the A. Then we go back, we do B section arpeggios, and then the grand ending. Not hard, just requires a little brain while you get it into your fingers. Here we go, whole B section. A major, B minor, spicy. Glue your second finger. Here's like the A section. For how much you think you need to think to do that, it sure is easy when you just play it through. Alright, so any parts of that you want to see again, go rewind the video, spend all the time you want. I'll hang out with you as many repetitions as you need or want to get this tune under your fingers. And then you can start working it up to tempo. Make sure you're using for those separate bows big little big little, more bow on the bigs, less on the little. You saw me doing it the whole video. We've used past videos to work on it before, and this is the heart of your jig swing. So really make sure you're taking care of that while you're playing. All right. And as always, if you're one of those folks who seeing the sheet music of this really helps, I will send out, as always, sheet music for the current tune of the month with my monthly email newsletter. So if you're a member of that newsletter, you'll have the sheet music for this in your inbox. If you find this video like far in the future, hello future fiddlers, that email is gone, but you can also find any of these tune of the month tunes on all of the great sheet music sites on the internet. If you don't already know about it, check out thesession.org. That's the monster library of Irish tunes or any tunes in this vein. I happen to know for a fact Cape Breton Dream is on there. And you can also look out JC's ABC Tune Finder. If you search that, JC, the letters, ABC, the alphabet, Tune Finder, Google will get you to the site address. And that's an amazingly comprehensive site with so much fiddle music on it, even though it looks really simple. So shout out to JC, whoever you are. You have made my life very rich with tunes. If you want to subscribe to my newsletter anyway, of course, go to my website, www.mariblack.com, and I will see you next month with more tunes. Bye.